Hello, everybody, and welcome. Thanks for tuning in tonight. My name is Maddie Brown. I am a senior assistant. And first and foremost, I want to congratulate those of you admitted students to Gettysburg's class of 2025. Yay! We are very excited to welcome you to campus this fall. And tonight, you will hear from Professor Ann Dowds and some of our current Gettysburg College students, particularly about our public policy program here. All of these fabulous students. So I'll bring this to life for you. But thanks again for tuning in. I do want to remind you that we are using the Q&A feature tonight. So for all of your questions throughout the session, please put them there. And this is being recorded for possible future use. And without further ado, I will pass it over to Annie.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Maddie, for on this. So welcome, everyone. We are delighted that you're joining us here. I know it's a little late, but probably not for you, being high school seniors and all, but we are pleased that you're here with us to start talking a little bit more about the public policy program and beginning your journey into this degree. So I'm going to start with an overview of the program, and then I'll move through each of the students who are with us tonight to let them give you a little bit of perspective on their experiences with our program, beginning with a senior and down to the 2 first years who are with us. So first of all, people ask me, I swear about 1 out of every 5 students who come into my office go, so what exactly is public policy? Like, I know I want to study it, but I'm not quite sure what it is, especially because you hear it's a very practical degree, but you're like, why? So public policy at its core is the coordinated collective response to publicly defined problems. What does that mean? It means that it's the ultimate interdisciplinary experience you'll ever have, because it's about how do we as a society identify and define problems. So even just taking like the pandemic as an example, how do we define it early on and how do we respond? How do we come to define it as science evolved, as politics evolved, all that, and how do we respond? That is the quintessential experience of a public policy analysis, is how do we define it? How do we develop responses to it? How do we evaluate our responses to it? And then how do we reform our responses so that ultimately we improve upon ourselves? It's a perpetual cycle of improving public responses to public problems. So at Gettysburg College, the public policy degree is a dual degree by nature. You have to have one other degree. And that's on purpose, so that when you come in, you say, I'm interested in environmental studies. I'm also interested in the policy side of that. So as you go through the public policy degree, you're sort of running your environmental studies degree through the tunnel of public policy and giving it that patina of public analysis. So what we do is we ask you to come in and we ask you to take a class. Either if you come in with AP credits, great, for American government or international affairs or comparative government, that satisfies the requirement. But we have you take an introductory course on American government or international affairs or comparative government. And then we go through a course called PP221 that teaches you all about the stuff you see on the screen, about how we define problems, how we set agendas, how we contingency plan, all of that. We require that you take 2 economics classes, a theory class, an ethics and values class, and an analysis class. And then the rest of it, so it's 5 classes basically. And then the rest of it is all about experiential and applied learning. You do we have a required internship, but most everybody does multiple internships. We have a capstone that requires original research, original data collection and analysis. But most importantly, throughout the entire program, we're constantly providing you with opportunities to travel. Now, given COVID, that had to be virtual, but fingers crossed, we're going to be traveling again in the fall. We go to DC, we go to Harrisburg. When we're in DC, we go State Department, Pentagon, we go to Congress, we go to the Supreme Court, we go to the archives, Library of Congress, we meet with policymakers. We try to make this as engaged and integrated as possible. Most importantly, it's about critical thinking and how do engaged, informed, critical thinkers solve public problems on a perpetually improving basis. So before I move into the individual students' experiences, I just wanted to give you a quick snapshot. This is not translating well on my screen. It's a little weirdly formatted there. But what you're seeing are on the far left, Christian Witzel, our student internship coordinator. He was the person who filled the role for the last year, but every year we hire on board someone to coordinate from the student experience our internship program. So as we're running our LinkedIn page, which I hope you'll all go find on LinkedIn, we are also providing you from the student level. How do I do this? What do I write about? How do I write a resume? How do I write a cover letter? All that stuff. And the rest of the pictures you see are the ones where we've had different experiences. For the top, the middle one is a group when we went down to the Supreme Court. Because I'm a member of the bar down there, and so is another member of our faculty, we get private tours. We have a mentoring program, so that's General Darpino on the far left. The other two pictures are at Congress and the archives, and those are just to sort of illustrate that in non-COVID times, we get out, we do, we see, we feel. It's a full-on, full sensory 360 experience to study public policy at Gettysburg College. So I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to let you hear from students about their experiences, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Matthew, since you are the senior in the group, would you like to start us off?
That sounds great. Thank you so much, Professor Dowds, for that wonderful introduction. And I just also want to say again, congratulations, class of 2025, our admitted students. Going to Gettysburg College was, I think, probably one of the better decisions I've made in my life, and it's definitely helped prepare me for the future that I want to take. So just some brief introduction. My name is Matthew Feldstein. I'm a senior with a double major in political science and public policy. Like Professor Dowd says, a dual major is one of the requirements of the public policy degree. But as she said, you can do just about anything with your public policy dual major. You can major in just about anything on this campus because public policy is truly something that you can apply to any field across the country, anywhere that you want to do. And that's one of the major reasons that I wanted to choose that as my major. Political science definitely seems to be one of the more common dual majors you see in that program, just because of the duality of that. Throughout my time here at Gettysburg College, I've done a lot. I've participated in a lot of those travels that Professor Dowds just talked. If you look back at that photo, I was at that Supreme Court trip. Earlier than that, on a winter break trip, we went to the Pentagon. That was actually one of my first introductions to one of my main focuses in my research here, that being national security and foreign policy. We had the opportunity to speak with the Joint Chiefs of Staff on major issues, including some major force deployment areas, and mainly Europe and Africa. And that was an amazing experience that Professor Dowds likes to give students like you guys each and every year that we can. And, unfortunately, during COVID, it's been difficult, but hopefully in the future for you guys. While here, my major focus, like I said, national security, foreign policy, mainly through a humanitarian lens as it looks at conflict regions, mainly in Israel and Palestine, and then later in Afghanistan with the recent peace deal between the Taliban and the United States government. And I've helped use that research and original thought to kind of focus my internships after graduating from Gettysburg College. Using the Gettysburg Alumni Network, which is an amazing resource and something that as public policy students, you have a unique aspect to, because unlike other majors, you might be kind of in a niche where you have to focus on specific alumni. As a public policy student, you can talk to any alumni because you can work in just about any field. And so using a Gettysburg alumni, I have the opportunity to work at Oak Ridge National Laboratory in Tennessee on national security, focusing on nuclear non-proliferation and nuclear transportation security, specifically as it works to the domestic transportation of materials for theoretical floating nuclear power plants, which is a bit of a mouthful, but that's the main focus of the project for this summer. After that, I am happy to report that I will be attending graduate school at the Harvard Kennedy School of Government in Cambridge, Massachusetts, where I also using resources at Gettysburg College, mainly through the Eisenhower Institute, which is another major resource for public policy students. I've already had the opportunity to speak with some Harvard professors that we've been able to bring to campus to speak through some of our fellowships, such as the Fielding Fellows, the Eisenhower Undergraduate Fellows, and then many of the other great programs that the Eisenhower Institute provides, some of which Professor Dowds herself leads, such as the Women in Politics program, which I encourage anyone to apply and attend for. I don't want to take up anybody else's experience time. So Professor Dowds, unless you have something you'd specifically like me to talk about, I think that's a good place to stop.
No, I think that's excellent. I'd also like to point out your incredible work on the Honor Council and the amount of time that you spend on that, because that's been a huge contribution to our community. And in case anybody thinks that this is a one-off that we have Matthew going to Harvard, I just want to share real quick before we move into the non-seniors that out of our graduates, Matthew, you can help me, but Abby's going to UVA Law, Mike's going to the Federal Reserve, Christian's going to Yale Graduate School for Nursing. Who else is there? Oh, Emma's going to be leadership at AmeriCorps. There are 35 of y'all graduating. Those are off the top of my head. I should have written them all down, but they're
I know a number who are going to law school. I know Brianna is still deciding. She has 3 options. Carolyn is also still looking at that, but also looking at jobs possibly with the Heritage Foundation and other major think tanks. So not everybody's going to graduate school, but a lot of our graduating seniors have amazing opportunities waiting for them, both within the DC metro area and then back at home publicly. I know one of my friends, Owen, is working at state and local government just in the state of Pennsylvania, right around here at Gettysburg.
Yeah, that's right. Logan's doing state government. And then Josh Gonzalez, he's going to either AEI or Heritage. I can't remember which. But anyway, for the parents and caretakers out there listening, it's a very practical degree. You do great things after graduation. So next on my screen is Molly. Would you like to share a little bit, going to the opposite end since you're a first year, would you like to share a little bit about your experience with the degree?
Yes, hi everyone. My name is Molly Hoffman. I'm a first-year student here at Gettysburg studying public policy and environmental studies. So I'll just share my experience with combining those 2 majors. Like previously said, you'll major in public policy in addition to another degree. And so I always knew that I wanted, for a career, I wanted to just save the earth. That was always my career objective, but I didn't know exactly what that would look like. I didn't know, did I want to take pond samples and analyze them? Did I want to lead the finances for an environmental nonprofit? I didn't know what my day-to-day job would look like. And so as you go through high school and you gain other experiences, I started to narrow it down. And I started to think, I love writing, I love reading, I love history, and I love government. I would love to work in DC. I'd love to work in an office, but also get to travel and see the field work. And so that's how I kind of came to the conclusion of doing the environmental policy. My goal is still to save the earth, but how I get there is going to be through policy, analyzing policy, writing policy. And that's how I kind of view the integration of these 2 degrees. Even though I'm only a first year, I've already had the opportunity to combine them. So last semester in my intro to environmental studies class, I was able to kind of do a mini research project about an environmental policy on campus, see how people would react to it. For the intro to public policy class this semester, I'm doing a white paper, which is like your final, like your big policy paper at the end of the semester. I'm analyzing how a federal land management law would impact coral reef ecosystems. So I'm really excited for that. And then outside the classroom, also a lot of opportunities to combine these 2 majors. So with the Eisenhower Institute, I participated in environmental leadership, which looked at environmental problems from the humanities side, like national security, economics, religion. Yeah, I'm a part of the Public Policy Student Council, and we're still building the Public Policy Student Council that way. It's a great way to get involved. I am also, what else do I have written down? Oh yes, this summer I'm doing an internship here at a local newspaper called Gettysburg Connection, where I am the climate editor. So I will be looking at how local, state, and federal policies impact Adams County on the local level. So I'm also super excited for that. So yeah, there are a lot, even though I'm only a first year, there are a lot of ways to integrate your 2 majors. And then of course, as you go into your upperclassmen years, you will dive headfirst into combining your majors. Thank you.
I didn't know you got that internship. That's so cool.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's good news, and you'll be local, so that's nice. Okay, so Andrew, would you go next, please?
Yeah, so I'm Andrew Bouchard. I'm a junior, political science and public policy major. I actually transferred to Gettysburg last spring, so I've only been here for a year. And the public policy program was actually one of the big reasons I transferred to Gettysburg specifically, that and the political science program. And I think the 2 majors go really well together, especially if you're interested in politics or elected office or any kind of policy making, because the public policy major gives you the ability to, you take so many different classes that you really do get a well-rounded view of like policy making and all the factors that need to be considered in doing so. So I think it's just a really good major for, having a better eye for things than maybe someone at another college would, or someone who didn't add this major on. I think it's a big advantage. Um, People have already said a lot of the stuff. So like,
Well, you entered the program right as COVID was hitting. So you and I got to do the virtual, the in-person, the all combined.
yeah,
So
your
your
class,
resiliency is a testament.
yeah, your class was the first class I ever took at Gettysburg. It was literally the first class I went to. And it's still one of the my favorite classes I've taken so far at Gettysburg, the public policy class.
Thank you. It's a fun class. I'm not paying him to say that. That's actually, it's just a really fun class. Actually, Molly and Adriana are in it now. And I like the intro class because it's so, you just take so many different areas of policy that ultimately I have someone in the room who knows more than I do about one of the policy areas because they've studied it for their entire lives. And I'm like, bring it. Let's keep talking about that area and all learn from one another. So that's been really exciting, especially environmental policy. Like you two, I'm pointing at you, Adriana and Molly and Caroline and Anna, who's sitting in front of you. It's been really fun to have you all in the intro class and adding so much depth to the environmental policy discussion based on the scientific side of things. So speaking of environmental policy, Adriana, would you like to go next?
Yeah, so hi everyone. My name is Adriana Solano. I'm also a first year and I'm also double majoring in public policy and environmental studies like Molly. And we've gotten the opportunity to also work on projects together and just get to know each other more because we have the same interests. And Molly already touched on like some good points and opportunities that we've gotten as first years and environmental studies majors. And I think something that I'd just like to add on. So personally, I chose the public policy major because throughout my high school career, I was, a student activist and I didn't really understand like the depth of my actions and like the impacts that it had. And taking the intro to public policy right now with Professor Dowd has for sure like deepened that knowledge for me. And you kind of just get to see like the public policy cycle and all the steps that go into it. So it's a lot more interesting to just see, the true impact that your actions make. And I guess just to add on a few things that I'm involved on campus, I'm involved in the Title IX task force with Professor Dowd, so I've been getting to do research for that. So I've been already gaining a lot of knowledge and just experience as a first year already, and I'm currently taking Environmental Studies 225, which is a communications class, and we really just focus on what's the most effective and efficient way to communicate environmental issues to people who don't necessarily care about environmental issues. So it's been a very interesting, combination of majors. And another project that I got to work on that I really loved was making a podcast. And I'm currently making a podcast of my own. So that was honestly really fun. So to be honest, like if you choose like the public policy major, you get to just do a lot with it. And it's not just like one narrow thing that you have to do. You like Matthew already said, and Andrew and Molly, like you can just do so much with it. Some people end up going to law school, like some people just like end up going straight to working at the EPA. So you can honestly dream big with a public policy major.
Yeah, and I'd like to piggyback off that before we let Autumn bring us home is that, for example, today, and because of COVID and everything, I just did call in office hours. So I said, call me anytime today between 8 and 4. You have my cell phone number, just call if you want to help with registration. And because I was doing this tonight, I thought I should kind of note who all calls me and what their other major is. And I had 2 women, gender and sexuality studies majors, 1 anthropology major, 2 sociology majors, chem major, probably some poli-sci majors because we got a lot of those. But so as of today, we have 95 public policy majors, and we represent the gamut of all the different majors on campus because we pride ourselves on being so interdisciplinary and allowing everybody to explore multiple avenues within their discipline. Okay, Autumn, who has been with me in practically every adventure we've taken in the last 2 years, would you please wrap it up for us before we go to questions?
course. Hi, everyone. So first of all, congrats to the class of 2025. I'm super excited that you're here with us tonight, and I'm super excited that I'm here with you too. So just a little about me. I'm Autumn Chassie, and I am from Elysburg, Pennsylvania, and I'm a sophomore political science and public policy double major here at Gettysburg with a Spanish minor. And I'm employed by residential and first year programs as a resident assistant in the first year area. So hope to see some of you next year. I also work with women in leadership with the Eisenhower Institute. I was in the program last spring, and now I'm the assistant for the program this spring, so that's super exciting. And I'm also a part of the Public Policy Student Council with Molly, and I'm a part of the Alpha Omicron Pi Women's Fraternity. So upon arriving to Gettysburg, I knew the public policy program existed, but I didn't really see myself taking part in it. I always told myself I was going to be poli-sci and econ, and that was going to be my thing. But then I took Professor Dowd's first year seminar, which was Sex in the Supreme Court, and she introduced me to public policy. And from there, I basically ran with it. And I realized that it really aligned with a lot of my interests that I had. So it gives me a super great opportunity to explore all of the issues that I'm super passionate about, and has provided me with some very beneficial skills that I've used with my job at Res Life, but on and off campus. It's just been really great. And I have also gotten some of those great opportunities that we've already mentioned, and all with Professor Dowds. We got to go to the Supreme Court. Got to see Congress a few times, the Pentagon, State Department. So that was a super awesome experience and definitely gave me some of my favorite memories at Gettysburg. So I'll just move into a little bit about the major, but I'm basically echoing everybody else. And just I'll talk about what it's like to double a little bit. But so like we said, half of our major is about our political science and public policy, like myself. But we also, you can pair it with anything, and it's super versatile. I know a lot of people who pair it with econ, environmental studies, bio, women, gender, and sexuality studies, like we mentioned. And I think that's so cool, just because you can pair it with almost anything, and it makes all of our students so versatile. And then as you move through the major, I think Gettysburg has some really awesome classes that just develop your skills so much more that you can apply to the things that you're really passionate about. And there's so many different tracks that you can take within the department, which make you so comfortable about issues you're passionate about, but also so comfortable talking about a wide range of topics just because you know so much from all the classes that you end up taking. And not to mention the department, especially for me, is super accessible. And we also get like an email every single week with a bunch of different opportunities, ranging from networking opportunities, internships, jobs, just cool talks to go to that are on campus or now like on Zoom, on webinars and stuff, and a lot of research opportunities. And again, the public policy network is just super awesome. And the variety of people involved in the program just all really come together with all of their different experiences. And I think it keeps us all learning and networking together.
Well, thank you all, students. And this is also, all of yours talking tonight is a testament to how much we also emphasize being able to speak in public and impromptu, because you all fed off each other, which I totally love. And that's part of what we emphasize, is listening and integrating what you hear into what you then present to the public. And then one final thing before we open it up to questions, I want to explain that what we do, because we are a public policy program, we have a public policy advisory council of approximately 16, I think it is, faculty and administration. So even though the public policy faculty, not all of them are full-time in public policy, they are all full-time faculty. So they're all either tenured or tenure track faculty with PhDs, and then they take their experience in, say, anthropology or history. They come to the Public Policy Advisory Council and help inform how we steer this degree so that it's responsive to the emerging needs and evolving needs of each of the disciplines. So with that, I will ask if there are, I need to click on the Q&A and see if there are any questions or comments or anything.
Professor Dowds, I'll actually speak to a question that I know a lot of admitted students typically have, or at least one that I had coming in, which is kind of like the workload that is encompassed with a double major, especially the idea of, because you can double major in just about anything here between public policy and then anything you want to do, there's a lot of concern of, can I handle that amount of work? Is it going to be too much? Is it really worth trying to double major in public policy, or should I just focus on that one major? So in that, what I would say is the public policy department has been incredibly amicable in helping to adjust to just about any of whatever you're double majoring in. Because the main focus is you take the lessons that you learn in your intro to public policy courses, and then you kind of apply that to your other major and vice versa. You take that and so you take your expertise and then you bring it to your intro to public policy course, and then you bring it to your capstone and everything in between. And because of that, the requirements, or the core requirements that all colleges have when completing your majors for the public policy department is, okay, have you completed those core courses in your other major? Great. Have you applied them to what you're doing in the public policy department? Great. That means you're in the right step and you're in the right direction. And that can apply to just about everything. I'm a minor in philosophy here, and I've been able to use philosophy courses to help satisfy some of the public policy requirements as it relates to the elective requirements and understanding human and ethics research. So that's just an example of the things that you can do while you're here.
Thank you, Matthew. And actually that segues me very nicely into something I wanted to bring up. And I didn't check the Q&A to see if it came up, but lots of students ask about opportunities for research and experiences outside the classroom. So quick background on me is I'm an attorney, but I have a PhD in public policy with an emphasis on justice policy. But so for the first 15 years of my career, I started out as a prosecutor. Then I went into private practice. I was a judge for 3 years. And then I spent the last 10 years or so of my legal career doing civil rights litigation. And then since 06 to the present, well, 06 until I joined the faculty, I was doing consulting in the policy arena. Once I joined the faculty at Gettysburg College, I said, I'm done. This is all I'm going to do for the rest of my life. I'm going to be a professor at Gettysburg College. So that's my focus. But what I've done is retained those contacts within those various arenas. So most of my students are involved in some sort of research project that I've either directed them to, or like Molly, you were talking about the project you did, or Dr. Sarah Principato was talking the other day with Adriana and Molly and me about her work on icebergs, right? Wasn't it icebergs? Yeah, it was icebergs. And she was talking about how you communicate something so slow moving in a way that's going to be impactful. So the point is that you get to have all these very applied experiences in research. And right now, I'd say in press, I have publications with, I'm trying to count, 6 or 7 students. And then we have a book project that has 35 students involved in it. Actually, another book I have in press has 4 students, each of whom co-authored a chapter. And you see that across the college. Professors are very generous with authorship opportunities. So if you're willing to put in the work and go out and do the original research and write, they'll give you opportunities to publish and engage in ways that I truly had not seen anywhere else until I came here. On a totally different note, I was wondering if, actually we have 2 questions. So what type of student succeeds in the public policy dual major? I would say, I'll go first and then anybody else jump in. Students who are concerned about something in the sort of public domain, who care, who have a, like, I'm not quite sure what I want to do about this, but this bothers me, or this is a goal of mine. How do I build the skill set and the knowledge to respond to that? That would be the person I think who succeeds the most often. And I'd say we all succeed in the public policy major because my students are great. But what would anybody else say to that?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think basically any student at Gettysburg could succeed in this major because it's so diverse. And like, also the workload of a double major, like Matthew was just talking about, it's really not more. You're just taking more focused classes. You're not taking extra classes. It's just the classes have a specific purpose rather than just taking a bunch of electives or something. Yeah,
I agree, Andrew. That's a perfect way of putting it, is it's much more intentional. you go about things with more intentionality, and you have advisors to help you do that. The other question I saw was, do people come in thinking they're going to major in public policy? I'd say it's about 50-50. I don't know, 4 out of 5 of you probably didn't, right? Autumn, you've already said you didn't come in thinking you do public policy. Andrew did.
But I also,
how about you, Adriana and Molly? Go ahead, Andrew. What's that?
yeah, I also wasn't a first year, so I got kind of
Right.
I would say, to be completely honest, like you don't have to declare your major until like your sophomore year, spring of your sophomore year. So you have a lot of time to decide. And I just decided to declare early because I kind of knew what kind of focus and issues I wanted to focus on and just kind of like start like right on. So that's why I decided to declare this early on. But I don't think anyone like comes in just like planning on majoring in public policy. Like I know that I was either deciding between like political science and like environmental studies. So like also for me, like it wasn't like, oh, public policy. It was after I took some of the classes that it was like, okay, like I actually want to do public policy. So nobody necessarily, you know, sticks to their original plan. It always changes, and that's completely fine.
That is so true. I don't know of any advisee who has come in and done exactly what they said they were going to do on the first day I met them. Other thoughts on that among the student panelists?
Yeah, I can add to that. So I was kind of split. I knew that coming in here, I knew that I wanted to do the environmental policy track within the ES major. You also do a track in the ES major, but I wasn't dead set on public policy yet the first day I stepped on campus, but I knew it was there if I needed it. And like Adriana said, like as you take these classes, you start to get thinking. And so we had our first year seminar with Dr. Dowds that was very activism oriented. And so that got me thinking. Again, with Adriana in our intro to ES class, it's an intro class. So you look at every topic in ES. And the thing I was most interested in was anytime we talk about environmental policy. So then I was like, okay, yes, this is what I want to do. And then that's whenever I declared.
And the other thing I think is neat about the public policy degree is, like several of you have said, a lot of people come in, like I think Molly, you said about, or no, Autumn, you said about half are public policy, political science majors. And oftentimes people say to me, well, aren't they both sort of general degrees? But no, because public policy is about just the ultimate interdisciplinary experience where you pull all this stuff together and try to solve some problems. And so what I love to see is when a poli-sci major says, I'm thinking about public policy, but I really care about public history. Like, how can I get better at that? Well, that's perfect. It's a great example of you use the public policy degree to focus on a different area that is of concern to you, building upon the skills you learn in the education you get from the political science degree about institutional stuff and about decision making, but to take it into an applied discipline.
And I'll piggyback off that a little bit, because as I mentioned before, I'm a political science, public policy dual major, like so many others, but my focus has been on national security and foreign policy. There really wasn't any distinct class at Gettysburg College that I took on that. That was something that I was interested in when I came in. You have your intro international relations courses that you take as a political science major, but I've been able to use the public policy department and public policy department resources to then focus on what I wanted to do in that field. And then that helped me get the internship that I'm doing now on nuclear non-proliferation and nuclear security research at Oak Ridge. So that's just one example of how you can take an interest that you may have now or an interest that you'll gain while at Gettysburg College and then use it to direct you to what you actually want to do through the public policy department.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Because we do have in the poli-sci department quite a bit on national security stuff, but you're right, there's no specific track that takes you down that path. But between the relationship that we have with the Army War College up in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, where we get resources from there and the speakers we get from there, that's another nice feature is they have the Eisenhower speaker series, and we integrate with them to take advantage of their speakers because they're right up the road. And so it works out perfectly. And then the other nice thing is you don't think about, I mean, for those of you in the region who are listening, you know the traffic challenges that can be from getting to Gettysburg to DC. And if you look at the map, it's not that far. But if you think about public transportation and what we've got at the college, we're 86 miles from DC. It's not that far. And you get the the community, the small town feel of being at a small liberal arts school with the access to all the stuff in DC and all the stuff through the Center for Public Service and the Eisenhower Institute. So I mean, I chose this place as my second and final career for a reason. So, how about, you know what, on a more back onto campus level, Adriana and no, Autumn and Molly are on the board. I'm confusing. And then you're on the student council, and then Adriana's on the Title IX committee. So Autumn and Molly, would you talk a little bit about the student council, what that looks like?
Sure, I can start. So the student council was started whenever Dr. Dowds came here. The current seniors kind of started it, but now they're kind of giving the responsibilities to the people who will continue with the program and to also build it up. So right now, what Autumn and I worked on, along with the other members last session, is to create a constitution to become an official club on campus. So then we can get funding from Senate and to do a lot more activities. So we're finding ways to build this program and involve everyone in the community, in the college campus community. In the fall time, again, COVID makes everything hard, but in the fall time, we helped the Public Policy House and Eisenhower Institute make the questions and host the on-campus debate between all the student political party groups on campus. So that was a lot of fun. And we were doing the Constitution, planning some stuff for the seniors as a senior farewell. And yeah, our job is to just continue to grow the public policy program and also provide those resources. So we did 2 sessions about public policy internships and studying abroad in public policy. So we're here to just help the public policy majors. Yeah, Autumn, I don't know if you have anything to add.
Yeah, we also, I just recently joined actually, but it's been a really great experience because again, we're just adding to that network of public policy students with all different interests. And we do like weekly or bi-weekly, like just different events. Like one time I know there was like just a little like study hall and like Q&A kind of session. And then sometimes we get speakers, and I know soon I want to start working with reaching out to different majors and stuff and kind of just expanding our network to do different cool events. So yeah.
Yeah, and the idea behind the student council, I actually borrowed from Dr. Hakeem Williams, who offered it to me. He runs Peace and Justice Studies, and he said that when he came to the college, I don't know when he got here, but he's developed that program quite beautifully. And he relied heavily on student input. And so that's one thing that I have found amazing about, surprising and amazing about the college, is the degree to which students are involved in leadership and the amount of contribution that students are given to the management of the programs and what they want. And so when Dr. Williams suggested that, I said, great. And so I proposed the Student Leadership Council, and Matthew was a founding member of it. And then this campus-wide policy debate that we had, the notion behind public policy is we can disagree on politics, we can disagree on ideology, but there are some things that are fundamental that we all hope to achieve, like making society more, just a better place. And so these campus-wide policy debates put together people across the political spectrum to come in and debate issues that are pre-selected by the members of the student council. And Andrew, you did the debate this last time, didn't you?
Yes, I was part of the debate.
Was it, so it wasn't as probably as fun as being in person, but what did you think? I'm totally putting you on the spot. I didn't tell you I was going to ask you
more fun in person, but it was still, I think it was a good time. I think most people enjoy it every year. Yeah, it's something I would do again.
Oh, good. And it's fun to see how people from, I mean, super opposite ends of the political spectrum come together and debate things in a very civil fashion and in an open forum. And I just love that about it, is that we all can disagree without being disagreeable. I think that's what I like best. Let me see, other questions. So the Center for Career Engagement is a great place to look for jobs. I saw a question about professional opportunities. Center for Career Engagement is a great place to look for career opportunities in the public policy degree. But like Matthew said, we have a wonderful alumni network, and we do have a public policy LinkedIn page that's forward facing, so you can access that. I think I have to let you in, or Christian Witzel, the student coordinator, has to let you in, or somebody else does, but please, if you want to join it, go right ahead. We reach out to people that not only are affiliated with Gettysburg College, but with whom we have worked before, not just me, but everybody on the advisory council. So I see y'all putting your emails into the chat. That's great. Thank you so much. Mine, I should put it in there. Maddie, were you going to say something?
Yes, this has been great, and I love getting all the different student perspectives. So thank you, Annie, for putting this all together. And this, like I said, is being recorded and will go up probably on the college YouTube channel, so you can access it again. But please feel free to reach out to Professor Dowds or any of these students. We are here for you as you make your final decision. It's not an easy one, but we hope that with this information and some other virtual programs or an in-person campus tour, which we are open for right now, hopefully you can make that confident decision to come to Gettysburg. And again, thank you for tuning in tonight. Please reach out to any of these individuals, and congratulations again.
Yes, congratulations, everyone. We hope to see you soon.
Thank you all.